Welcome, everybody, back to Bears Nation Podcast Breakdowns, episode 3 for 2022. Myself, Kevin Lapka, alongside Kellyn Gerenstein, the man, the analyst, breaking it down for us. We got Jaquan Brisker. You're up next, Jaquan. We got our second-round pick 48, a surprise pick for the Bears, but we're here to break it down, see how he fits with the Matt Eberflus defense. Kellyn, you get an athletic safety guy who plays in the box, who's going to pair very well next to Eddie Jackson. You know they want to shore up that secondary. We think they do it here with Jaquan Brisker. What do you think about him before we get into these clips?
Absolutely. I love the pick, and I know it wasn't people's favorite at the time, but we were talking about it on our draft show the night before. We said, hey, they might double up. We thought it might have been Jalen Petrie or another safety like that. Brisker is fine. Love Jaquan Brisker. Love his tape. I'm not going to be the guy to sit here and tell you Jaquan Brisker's a superhero. Also, he is a human being playing football. There are, plays on tape where he misses tackles, and there are plays when you look at it and you're like, well, if he's special, he makes that play, and that's why he's picked 48. But Jaquan Brisker is a hell of a football player, and he's going to get better. He's going to keep getting better, and I think this is the defense for him to do it. And I'll keep touching on this as we view the clips. But there's one guy on this defense that I think the impact that Jaquan Brisker is going to have on him just by being here is not really being talked about right now, and that's Eddie Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Jackson at his peak was probably the best player on the defense. And Khalil Mack was who he was. Roquan Smith was a fantastic rookie in 2018. Akeem Hicks was eating up double teams and penetrating like hell. It was crazy. But Eddie Jackson was getting turnovers. He was playing center field. They wanted to test Prince Amukamara and Kyle Fuller, both who were having great seasons, more than they wanted to test Eddie Jackson in the middle of the field. And he still made him pay when they tried to do that. So there's an effect that I hope that Jaquan Brisker has to bring out that level of production that Eddie Jackson used to have. And like Eddie Jackson has always been a poor tackler, in my opinion. 2017, 2018, even in those peak years, he was never going to be the guy that was going to make it, come up and really make a tackle in the box. And I think Jaquan Brisker is going to be a little bit more of that guy. I think they're not similar. Eddie Jackson's a bit more rangy. You trade that off with Jaquan Brisker, who's a little bit more physical, not a perfect tackler. He's not Jamal Adams. He's not a guy that's really going to be super physical, but he can do a bunch of things. I've talked enough, man. So whenever you're ready to get into the clips, let's do it.
All right, yeah. So Jaquan Brisker, in college, 59% of his snaps out of the box. Obviously, he's being brought here to do what you mentioned, complement Eddie Jackson, complement him the way Adrian Amos complimented him in 2018 when he was that great player. But he also has versatility, super athletic, and he can play the deep field role in the slot role as well. But let's take a look at this first clip here against Wisconsin. What do you see here, Kellyn?
Yeah, so I'm gonna, as much as I can, I'm going to try and showcase everything I can about Jaquan Brisker, who's here lined up as a slot, basically a slot corner. Penn State's playing man coverage, and I'm not going to try and over complicate everything on defense, because the way these defenses run, nothing is just simply cover 4. None of it is simply cover 3, cover 2. The way that NFL and Division I coaches run defense is never that simple, right? It's not just base, rush 4, drop 7, whatever. It's never that. But the important thing you need to know here is Jaquan Brisker is manned up on this man right here. This is what we call a lose out in football, meaning that this receiver is going to run this out route, the deep out, but he's going to lose first. He's going to get inside of this defender who, in most cases, will be covering the flat, right? As you see him here, right? He's going to take this, which I think is Braylon Allen, out of the backfield. Graham Mertz is going to recognize that he has the throw over the top, but the focus is here on Jaquan Brisker, who plays this perfectly. He runs this route for him, basically. He's Jaquan Brisker on defense. Look at his hips already open. His hips are more toward the sideline than this receivers are at this point, right? And I'm going to let it run. Jaquan Brisker makes the play all the way to the ground. That's an underrated quality, in my opinion. Trey White does a really good job of it. Trey White is obviously one of the best corners in the game, but Trey White plays the ball all the way to the ground, right? You have to complete the catch in football, and that guy's got his hands on it. Jaquan Brisker's in good position. That's Danny Davis, I believe. Brisker makes the play on it and plays the ball all the way to the ground. I don't think he knew that he made the breakup until his teammates came over and said that it was incomplete, because it looked like he got up and he kind of thought that he made the catch, but that's another good play. It's kind of similar to the one of the clips we show with Kyler Gordon, playing that off coverage. Now this is a little different because Gordon was playing outside, right? And I think the route that the guy from, I think, was against Cal, he ran, it wasn't very good. But this isn't the greatest route either. Jaquan Brisker's playing that outside leverage, and he doesn't really do anything to threaten that. But if your guy's not going to do that, then that's what you do. You make him win, right? You make him win, and he didn't do that. And Jaquan Brisker makes the play on the ball. And there's interceptions and a lot of good plays on the ball that Jaquan Brisker, he made an interception in this game. And I didn't pull it because, anyone can go watch it. It's a red zone clip. You don't really need a lot of analysis on it. But just something to show here. Look how fast he's opening his hips, right? And I don't think he's the freak athlete, wise that we saw Kyler Gordon be on the field, but that's just really good technique here. In his back pedal, stand low, keeping his chest over his knees here, right? Gets the hips open, recognizes the ball is coming, sees the route, breaks on it, makes the play. Simple as that. That's one of the things he can do, right? That's man coverage from the slot. He's played zone. He's played one high. He's played split field coverage. He's played man from the box. He's played man from the slot. So that's just one of the things he can do, and I love to see it. And this is also, I think this might be some concept recognition on his part, because as you see Braylon out, this is a flood concept with just a post over the top. A lot of teams start to do this. I think this is Kendrick Pryor who's going to run the post, and the flood is just, we know it's a 3-level concept. You got the deep, you've got the middle, which is the out route, and then the underneath, which is going to be the running back in this case. And I think once Brisker realizes that this running back is a threat to come out of the backfield, and he sees Mertz driving on this ball, he realizes that it's a flood concept, which is kind of the idea of why these teams run lose outs, right? Because if you're trying to get outside leverage, it kind of tells people you might be trying to stay outside. But if you get inside, because this could be anything right here, right? This could be a deep over route. You could be running a double post here. You could just be running a dig, right? But the idea is to keep him guessing, and he does a good job of guessing right in this case.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're in a nickel defense there, right? And I think they're, that's obviously something that Matt Eberflus really likes in these defense. So you're going to see Jaquan Brisker pick this up a lot, right? Pick up the slot receiver and have to play coverage against a faster, quicker guy out of the slot like this. So this is why you talk about, you have to relate all these plays to, well, why did the Bears draft a guy like this, especially when the people thought there was bigger positions of need at the time. George Pickens was there, wide receivers were there, linemen were there, and we're like, and initially even us too, when we were doing that show, we're like, why Jaquan Brisker? Well, this is why. Again, you have to find guys who fit your team well, especially when you have to kind of reshape and rethink about how you're gonna switch. Eberflus coming in and switching a defense, you have to find the personnel that's going to fit the defense that you want to bring in. And with the 4-3 defense that Eberflus is bringing in, Jaquan Brisker is a player who fits perfectly and is going to be asked to do plays exactly like this. And we've talked a lot about what he can do in the box, and it's sort of led us to, shy away a little bit from how good he is in coverage. But this is a great example of his coverage skills. I mean, his coverage stats weren't insane from a statistical perspective, like 5 interceptions throughout his career at Penn State, decent amount of pass breakups, but nothing that's popping out to you like, holy shit, this guy's a complete ball hawk. But, he's a good coverage guy who's going to be able to get after the ball. So let's take a look at our next clip, though. Here with Jaquan Brisker, who, is 6'1", 199. So this is he's a little bit thin for his size, but he doesn't play like that. He's a physical guy, and he's going to be able to put on weight. Again, this is a guy too, who's a JUCO transfer. So when you think about, okay, where does Jaquan Brisker need to be? Where is he going to be in 3 years? Well, the curve might be greater. Although he was a second-team All-American last year, first-team All-Big Ten last year, you still have to think about, well, his overall development is slightly delayed coming from a JUCO school and then going to Penn State, playing primarily as a starter for 2 years. And then when he comes in the NFL, you might need like 2 years until this guy is completely polished. Like when we saw Eddie Jackson come in the league, this is a guy who played at Alabama, as a freshman, and then came into the league and tore up the league his rookie year. I think Jaquan Brisker is going to be a role player, but you won't see the peak of Jaquan Brisker's career until his second, third year, whereas Eddie Jackson was like peaking in his like 5th game when he scored 2 touchdowns against the Carolina Panthers. So, things like that you have to think about. But let's take a look here against Auburn. One of the better teams. This is a big time matchup. Penn State here at the goal line. What do you see here?
Yeah, this is late in the game. I think about 3.5 minutes left. This is Auburn. This is 4th and goal. And this is Kobe Hudson, who was Auburn's, quote unquote stud. This was the guy they had been going to all game long. He'd been their leading receiver throughout this game, and he ended up as their leading receiver on the team at the end. And this is just Jaquan Brisker playing press coverage, and then pretty solid technique, in my opinion, right? He's not a guy that's going to flash the hands. Most safeties, if you're not a corner, you're not going to flash hands at the line just because you're not trained to do that very often. And that's a very, very risky technique. If you're not comfortable with it, you're probably going to get beat. But in this case, he does a good job of just playing lateral, watching the hips, right, of Kobe Hudson here. Peeks at the quarterback, and he stays in front still, gets dragged down. That's an offensive pass interference. They don't throw the flag, which is fine because it was 4th down. But simple play. But in a big time moment, you want your best players to play their best in the biggest moments, right? And I think he does that here, does it pretty well against a player. Kobe Hudson's not like a world beater, but he was their best player. And that's who they trusted him with. They could have put Terry Castro Field in the slot and said, hey, like, go cover their best player, go do it. But instead they put their strong safety, Jaquan Brisker, who plays everywhere. This is not a guy, like we said, who he's not the most physical player in the world, but this isn't a guy who we're going to, say he has amazing coverage skills. I think Eddie Jackson, Malik Hooker, that was kind of the thing with them. If Eddie Jackson didn't break his leg in college, it would have been a first round pick. That people kind of forget that because we love his production because we got him in the 4th round. If he wasn't injured, he would have been a first round pick, no doubt. But you see a guy like this who doesn't have that type of twitchy coverage, twitchy range type of thing, but still can play low like this, can play press coverage in the slot and play on the goal line like this and have this technique. This isn't perfect by any means. I would love to see him flash hands. I would love to see him get better at that. But you're comfortable with what you're comfortable with. And he does a good job of also not getting rubbed here, right? Or not being the rub, doesn't rub his teammate, because that's kind of what this is for. But it's just a slot fade. And Bo Nix sails his ball. I'm going to be the first one to tell you that's not really a catchable ball. But if Jaquan Brisker isn't in good coverage right there, then maybe he gets beat. Maybe he does have to, take him down by the horse collar and there's a flag there. Or maybe he does get a pass interference call. Or even if it's back shoulder, if this ball is put back shoulder, right here on the back shoulder of Kobe Hudson, Jaquan Brisker is there to make a play. And Kobe Hudson's a smaller guy, so it's, you're not looking at like a Julio Jones or in this case of the draft class, George Pickens, Christian Watson. You're not looking at that level of an athlete, but it's just seeing some of the things that Jaquan Brisker can do when you get on the goal line and you have to press, you have to play this, cover 1, cover 0, you have to man up on the goal line. You just got to be better than the other guys for long enough for your guys to get home. I think that's what you're looking at, what he can do. And again, like we said on the Kyler Gordon with Bayless, we're not trying to say that Jaquan Brisker is going to be a world beater. He's not going to be an all-pro right away. And I think people know that. I think, I'm not saying that our viewers think that at all, because I know that they're smarter than that. But, don't quote us and be like, Jaquan Brisker gives up, one reception during a game. But, oh, you told me this. No, this is just what I'm showing you can do. I think he can play on the goal line. So when you get in these situations, you can kind of look for that stuff. Is this where he's making an impact? Is this where I see his translation to the NFL? And is it working out for him the way that Kevin and Kellyn said? Hopefully it will, because I think he can do it. I think he's a starter day one, and I think he's going to be a guy that can do all the things he did in college.
Do you see a little IQ here, understanding the situation, right? He doesn't bite here on the little shake from the slot receiver to try to, fake him inside as if he's going to run the slant, knowing you have linebacker help, knowing you might get a slot fade in the situation. How much of this play is IQ here, knowing what to expect?
Yeah. I'd say most of it, right? I think at this point in the game, you're seeing one of three people are getting the ball. Either Bo Nix is keeping it, they're giving the ball to Tank Bigsby, or they're throwing to their guy who's been their guy all game and was their guy all season long, Kobe Hudson. And he knows, right? And they could have rubbed here. Maybe Bo Nix could have fit this in right here to this slant route. That's still a tough throw, and I don't give Bo Nix the credit of being accurate enough to do that anyway. But this is a play where you're trusting your guy. Bo Nix is trusting his guy to go up and get the ball. Granted, it's an awful throw, like I said, but the other guy was better. Jaquan Brisker, that's our guy. He was better that play, and it mattered because Penn State ended up winning the game. I think Auburn got one more chance to score after this with a few seconds left, but that was that. This was really the play that won them the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't shy away from the moment, and this is, biggest play of the game, and, you're physical right up with their best guy. That's what you want to see out of your second round pick. So you like to see that. Let's go to our third clip here that we have of Jaquan Brisker. And I do like on that last clip too, the theme that we're going to talk about. I think the main theme for, this and Kyler Gordon, or there's two themes for really a lot of the guys that we've broken down and the guys that we will break down after this, including Dominique Robinson and some of the old linemen that we'll do here in the coming days is, not only athleticism, but physicality as well. And, you wonder why those things are true is because Matt Eberflus has said, the moment he came in, I want to build this defense through physical players. And that should be pleasing to Bears fans because you feel like the team lost physicality after 2018. That was a really physical team in 2018. And then after that, 2019, 2020, you just look at the way they tackle, right? It's like, let's peanut punch every play. Let's just go after the ball, man. We're not form tackling. We're not physical up front. We're kind of fancy on defense. Like, no, Eberflus is here to bring back physicality. He's drafting players that fit that mold. Jaquan Brisker, physical player. You saw that last time, and you'll probably see it in these outgoing plays as well. But here we are at Iowa, another really good team. So let's see what he's got here.
This this was the next biggest game of the season. I think this was when Iowa was number 2 and Penn State was number 3. But this is just it's a version of a smash concept here for Iowa, right? This is just a guy getting into the flat, a regular smash concept, or you could call it a bench concept, kind of the same thing. The idea is get one guy in the flat and one guy on a corner route and high-low, a guy playing whoever the flat defender is, whether it's your corner or whether it's a linebacker getting out there and overhang, whatever. But Jaquan Brisker starts off playing one high, and he's going to rotate here at the snap, and he's going to get over the top of this ball. This is showing it's kind of effortless range for him. This isn't a play where I'm going to be like, this is, special, him being special. This isn't like a special play. That's not what it is. But in my opinion, that's just him getting over and making the play. I mean, he starts in the middle of the field. He does rotate, but he sees that he's got help here. This is kind of a version of this half of the field toward the bottom of the screen. They're kind of playing a version of Tampa too, because you can see that this linebacker here is going to take anything that comes across the middle. So Jaquan and him are going to bracket whoever comes, and he has no help over the top because this corner has to play the flat. So this has to be the play that's made. Jaquan has to make this play, and he does. And this is not a throw. This is Spencer Petrus is the quarterback for Iowa. He's not an NFL quarterback. He's not really a special guy when it comes to placing the ball. But again, just shows the range, can show what he do, right? I mean, we've seen him play slot, off. We've seen him play slot press, and we're going to see him play in the box in another clip. And we're going to see him play nickel and come on a blitz on the last clip. But this is, something else he can do. And this is a split field coverage, right? Like I said, this half of the field is playing. They're playing a combo coverage, so they're not mirroring their coverages. They're not mirroring their matches either. So, this just shows what he can do. This is a split field coverage, and that's what Jaquan Brisker can do. You want to run, regular cover 2 man, that's fine. There's a play actually that I wanted to bring up. I'll just tell people go look at it. It's on the Colts-Bills game from 2021. It's like a 3rd and 18. And, you're thinking 3rd and 18, even with a guy like Josh Allen, you're thinking, let off. Keep everything in front of you, but they don't do that. They go double A gap blitz, and they just keep their safeties back. One of them, I can't remember the name. I think it's George Odom. He makes the interception on the play.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
You're looking at one of their safeties. Another guy. Well, I just looked his name up. Can't remember his name. But he's playing the nickel, right? No, not Julian Blackman. It's one of the safeties. He was on COVID for a while last year. I'll leave it in the comments when I find it. But they're playing press. They're playing press across the board on 3rd and 18. You're thinking against a guy like Josh Allen, 3rd and 18. If you're playing press, he's either going to take off and run once he finds the lane, or he's just good enough to stand in and beat you. But they do a great job, and a guy like Jaquan Brisker can play either that split field safety, or he can play the nickel safety that was playing down. I'll find the clip and I'll leave a link to it or something like that, or we'll put it on Twitter. Find us there. But like I said, just shows the kind of things that Jaquan Brisker can do and why they picked him. Right? We're trying to dive into the idea of why Ryan Poles picked 2 defensive players with his top 2 draft picks, which a lot of people are not fans of, and they're still gonna like. We all know we're gonna be fans of Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon. People are like, oh, they didn't help Justin Fields. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. Well, relax. We're trying to make the football team better. We love Justin Fields. I love Justin Fields. We're Ohio State people. We're Bears people. It doesn't get any better than Justin Fields as the Bears quarterback. But the team is not all Justin Fields. You have to stop the other team from scoring. And, people are impatient. There was one comment on our last video that was like, screw getting first downs. We need to score from every. Yeah. That's why you're not a coach. That's not how it works. You don't just score from everywhere. You don't just make the team better by adding to one side of the ball. It's a football team. There's 11 guys on one side, 11 on the other side. And you're getting a guy that can do a whole bunch of things like Jaquan Brisker can.
Yeah. And on this play specifically, you can't teach instincts, right? That's something that, you either have it or you don't. And I watch how he reads the eyes of the quarterback here. I forget what you said his name was, but, immediately from the jump, he sees the head turn. He's like, boom, I know where the ball's going. And he gets to the spot. Mm-hmm. And that's when, again, you think about, like, I think I mentioned this in one of our last breakdowns too, was, those Eddie Jackson plays from 2018 where, you talk about great coverage plays. And I'm bringing those up because Bears fans know those plays because they're engraved in their head because they're such great moments. But both that interception on Thanksgiving against the Lions and the interception against Kirk Cousins on Sunday Night Football. I mean, that's Eddie Jackson reading the eyes of the quarterback and good to a spot as quick as he can. That's instincts. Boom. He understands what's going on here. He maybe he, saw the film, knows that this quarterback here is locked in on this guy in this situation. And And he's a one read this whole time. It's a one read. This guy's locked in on that receiver the whole time. He understands it, sees the eyes, and makes the play. So those are things you can't teach, man. Those are instincts that he just has. And this is a guy who's a smart football player, disciplined, zero. I think I have it written down here. What is it? 0 penalties, didn't commit a penalty in his last 2 years in college. Like those, you talking about discipline, instincts, like understanding the game. That's it, man. I mean, and this is a team too that was, I don't know where they ranked in the league in penalties, but it was up there, man. It was up there as far as where they ranked.
It was mental penalties too.
So that's you're trying to bring in a smart football team, guys who have discipline and good instincts and understand what's going on during the game. That's huge as well. So let's go take a look at our next clip here. We got a few more here of Jaquan Brisker that we're going to break down for you guys and just get again and Kellyn has said it before, we'll say it again. What we do with these breakdowns is we're not here to tell you that all of these guys are first round talents. We're not here to tell you that all of these guys are Pro Bowl first year, defensive rookie of the year candidates. No, we're just telling, and you're probably like, well, you got to talk more about the negatives. Well, we're here to tell you what he's going to bring to the team, what he provides to the Chicago Bears. We're not here to, bash players. We're not going to show you, terrible plays of Jaquan Brisker. Is he a perfect safety? No, we're here to tell you how Jaquan Brisker fits in the Matt Eberflus defense, what he brings to the team in a positive way. I mean, we'll talk about the deficiencies that are there, and this is why I'm prefacing this is, we're not saying all these players are like, we're going to break down Elijah Hicks, who is a 6th, 7th round safety. I forget who was 6th or 7th rounder. Like, he's a 7th round safety. We're not going to tell you that guy is, the defensive rookie of the year. We're just telling you that these guys all have talent. They were all drafted for a reason. This is what they bring the Chicago Bears. But here against the Fighting Illini, at Penn State, this is Jaquan Brisker here. It looks like in the box. What do we have here?
In the box. And this is just Jaquan Brisker with good tackling technique, which I think is refreshing for Bears fans. Putting his helmet right on the ball and getting off a block. Illinois this is about as jumbo as a jumbo set can be right here. They got 2 extra offensive linemen here, right? Because you got center, guard, tackle, and then you've got 2 extra hog mollies plus 2 tight ends on the end of each side. So this is like 1930 stuff. I don't know how teams run this anymore. I guess if you're an offensive line coach, you love it. But this is just Jaquan Brisker being on the backside of zone. And what you want to do is you really want to take that cutback away. So that's why his hips are placed where they are. And he stacks an offensive lineman here. Man. And I should have, this is actually my mistake because I probably should have got the end zone view of this. But that's him fully extended against an offensive lineman, dropping his hips and going to make the tackle or going to clean up the tackle. He's not making the tackle because a couple guys get there before him. But that's a ball that's loose. I think Illinois actually ended up recovering this. I don't remember what happened, but that's a fumble, right? And that's just put his helmet right on the ball. His helmet is right there. Let me see if I can freeze it. Boom. That helmet is right on the ball. And that's the thing that, both Eddie Jackson and Khalil Mack have talked about. I feel like this is like the meme where like one guy says one thing and the other guy says the same thing. And they like it when the more handsome guy says it. Khalil Mack said, I'm going to get the ball. I'm going to get the ball. And, my guys can get to the quarterback. They can get the sack. I want to strip it. And Eddie Jackson came out and kind of said the same thing. He was like, well, everyone can tackle, go get the ball. And everyone was like, man, this is why you suck at tackling. And to be fair, they kind of have a point. Eddie Jackson is not a great tackler, right? He should probably focus more on that than getting the ball, especially since he's a safety. He's the last line of defense. You don't want to really be stripping the ball when no one is behind you to make the play. But, we talked about turnovers last time with Kyler Gordon. Turnovers, right? And hopefully that's what Jaquan Brisker can bring you. Because even a guy like Adrian Amos in 2017 and 2018 was getting you some turnover-worthy plays. Yeah. Whether that was, the play against Baltimore in 2017, where I think he had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. He was making picks in 2018. He picked Mitch off in 2019 and to end the game, basically in the first game of the season, broke our hearts. Because I remember, I think Adrian Amos was kind of an underrated, underappreciated player when he was on the Bears. And I think it was smart to let him go because it was going to be hard to pay him and keep everyone else. But Clinton Dix, Deshaun Gibson were not the guys that could really replace what he did. They replaced parts of what he did, but they weren't the same level player, in my opinion, as Adrian Amos was. And I think, where did Adrian Amos go? Penn State, right? So I'm not saying that they're the same player, but I'm saying that there are similarities between the effect that another safety can have on a guy like Eddie Jackson and can make plays like this. And again, this is Jaquan Brisker playing in the box. this is what we call big nickel. Is when you line up in kind of base set, but instead of having an extra linebacker, you put an extra DB. Now, whether you want that to be a corner or a safety, it doesn't matter. That's what we call. That's what it is. You're still in nickel set because you have 5 DBs, 1, 2 with Brisker, 3, 4, and 5, and you've got the 6, 4 down linemen and 2 backers, which Jaquan Brisker is just playing as a linebacker, acting as that. That's huge when you can have that in a defense where you can go. That's why teams go base nickel now, because they can put that third safety in the box. Or sometimes in college teams go 3 high, which you're not really going to see in the pros. It might happen in a couple of years. It's Jaquan Brisker, and he's accelerating to that ball carrier. He's playing all the way through the ground, stacks the offensive lineman, cuts off the backside of zone, makes the play.
Yeah, I mean,
like I said, there are plays where Jaquan Brisker misses tackles, and
oh yeah, he was not the perfect tackler at Penn State. Like let's if you look at his tackling statistics from a percentage standpoint, he's not a perfect tackler. But he's physical and he gets the job done here. And this is just relentless pursuit. I mean, for a guy like this is a guy like he looks way stronger than 199. He's only 199 pounds, and he like babies number 68, the offensive lineman, in pursuit of this play. And this is just not giving up. He sees that 58 here is crashing on it, or I don't know, 46 on Penn State's crashing on it. He knows the play is not over. Let's get after it. I see. If this play is made by the Bears last year, if Jaquan Brisker is, whoever you want it to be on the Bears defense, this play doesn't end in a touchdown for the defense. So that's what you want to see, relentless pursuit. And you talk about, in cover 3 or just overall, when he has to kind of replace the linebacker in certain situations, and he has the ability to do that. You see that with I'm trying to think like a Cam Chancellor type guys in the past. Jamal Adams, maybe at times, like those guys would literally just line up as the third linebacker in a 4-3 defense sometimes. And the way when you look at a play like this, you're okay with that, right?
But yeah, this is just, I think the best part of this play is him putting his helmet on the offensive lineman and getting that little shove, right? Using the left hand, the left forearm to give a little shiver, and then stacking with the right. That's a pretty instinctive. That's like a linebacker level instinctive play right there. And that's not against the tight end. That's against the tackle. That's against an offensive line. That's against a big boy. And one of the last clips I'll show too is kind of him doing the same thing. He's not making a tackle like he is on this one, but I'll go ahead and show it now. It's from the Michigan game, but it's just of him stacking up to bigger guys. And I think in the end, and these are not great NFL linemen. It's not like this was against like Penei Sewell in college, or like it was against one of the top tackles drafted this year, like Evan Neal. It wasn't not like that, but it is, in my opinion, a pretty damn respectful play. Let me pull this last one up here as Jaquan Brisker is playing in the nickel spot, and he's going to blitz off this edge here, and this is just what we call pin and pull in offense. And you're going to look at, we've had clips like this before, and I think I've shown some clips like in the Justin Fields one and the Darnell Mooney one, where it's not like anything special. It's just a guy making a good football play. And in my opinion, that's what this is. Sometimes, or in football, you say PYP, play your position, do your part. You can't do everything. You can't make every tackle. You can't make every interception. You can't make every throw. Every play is not going to be a touchdown. And this is Andrew Stuber, who was a 7th-round pick, I think, for the Patriots. But Michigan's offensive line won the award for best O-line in the country, or whatever the name of it is. But the idea on pin and pull is to kick out whoever this is on the sidewalk. We call this the sidewalk. And we call the second puller getting the alley. And obviously this last guy on the edge is going to seal, which his job is done easier because the end crashes down the line of scrimmage. But this is also a good job here, getting to the play. But Jaquan Brisker knows that he has to contain on this play because this end is crashing inside. His gap is now, he can't contain the outside gap. So now this is Jaquan Brisker's play. So he could avoid, we saw Kyler Gordon slide under a player in his breakdown, and make the tackle. Jaquan Brisker could position his body here and give up the edge and be like, I'm not taking on a lineman. I'm getting low. But instead, he does his job. He is the sidewalk guy. Now that is the gap that Michigan wants to run to, but he clears it back inside for his guys to make the play at. And now I'll go to the end zone cam because I think it's a little bit better to see exactly what I'm talking about. But pin and pull means that the front side of the offensive line, usually it means if a guy is inside your gap, you pin. If there's nobody inside you, you're going to pull. So you see this center, there's nobody lined up in a 0 or 1 technique to his left. And Andrew Stuber, there's nobody lined up inside of him. So this guard and these tight ends are both going to pin, and the center and tackle pull. So Jaquan Brisker, who you see come in here, the idea is to get this ball exactly where it's going, or it could be in between the two of them. It doesn't really matter. The running back it's never going to be perfect how it's drawn up. But you could say, Kellyn, this is a play made by number 12, and I wouldn't be mad at you. This is just a good job of him flowing over the top and doing a good job of reading his keys and staying square to the offensive or to the line of scrimmage, and that's fine. But I think Jaquan Brisker brings a level of toughness to stand up to that offensive lineman, because we talked about it, and I can't remember which breakdown we did. I think it was the Kyler Gordon one, but Trent Williams said, if I'm coming out and I'm getting cornered,
it was.
He's either making a business decision or he's getting blown the hell up. And Jaquan Brisker is not the biggest safety in the world, but he's playing nickel, he's blitzing, he's setting the edge. And I think he does a great job here, just turning the ball back inside, right? Not giving up too much. And it's not like he gets blown up either. Now, Andrew Stuber gets a little bit of a lick on him, gets his hands on him. That's fine. Your job is not to make the tackle. Your job is to turn everything back inside. And I think this is a good play, just from my perspective, because you can appreciate a safety, smaller, on the edge, getting a tackle who moves really well in Andrew Stuber and just stands right up to him. We saw in the last play, right? He's stacking an offensive lineman. This one, he's turned the play back inside. Pin and pull, buck sweep. Those are plays that really are hitting on outside gaps. We've got the seal, sidewalk, alley kind of ideal, what do you call it, like schematic to it. But here he does a good job of setting that outside edge. And if he doesn't come on this blitz, then maybe it's still, maybe they still keep this guy outside, this number 23. Maybe they still have to do a better job sealing him, whatever. But in my opinion, this is just the thing that Jaquan Brisker brings, is toughness to the defense. He can do that. And that's not Trent Williams. I'm not saying it is, right? You're going to have to make, different decisions when guys like that. And like I said, Penny Sewell, Rashawn Slater, whoever is coming at you, those guys are a little bit different than Andrew Stuber's level of offensive line, but he can do a bunch of things. Like that's him playing in the nickel on a blitz, and he could have, there's plays where he's blitzing and sacking the quarterback. There's plays where he's blitzing and really bending the edge around tight ends. He does a really good job on tape of kind of doing everything. He doesn't do everything great, but he does everything at a pretty balanced level. He can kind of do it all. That's what we've talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched this play like 100 times now, and it's just, man, you like to see that, man. Like this, and watch the end of the play. He doesn't just let up. No, he's like, I'm gonna throw you away, man. He's like, we finished the play, boom, get the hell off of me, boom, throws him. I mean, that's a bit. He didn't throw him to the ground. He's not Khalil Mack on
right.
what am I blanking on
Tristan
his name?
Wirfs.
Tristan Wirfs. We're not quite there, but this is, I'm standing up to you, and like you mentioned, I think what you're trying to say is there's a lot of guys, or most guys rather, most safeties in that position aren't doing that. Most safeties aren't willing to boom, like I'm coming at you, like you're coming at me. Guess what? I'm connecting with you. Like I'm not gonna let you come to me. Like we're meeting right here, and I'm coming at you.
Yep.
And again, like, and this is why Kellyn talks about his toughness. This isn't a 230-pound safety here. I mean, there's not many of those, but this isn't a 210 pounds. Like this isn't the biggest guy, and he's just using straight physicality and toughness. Yeah, this is sub 200, man, and that's just playing with effort, playing with heart. I mean, I don't even know what point of the game this is in, but this is just relentless football, man. I mean, that is a big man, number 71 too. And you see that man coming at you, and you talked about the business decision that Trent Williams was talking about with a lot of guys, and Jaquan Brisker says, you know what, you should be making a business decision because I'm coming to you. So I freaking love this, man. And this is what we talk about, man. Like you talk about what makes good teams, and we can talk about, all the specific, how good are they in coverage and how good are they in this and that. Well, guess what, man, the base for any team, and you want a team to win the Super Bowl, guess what? It comes from effort. That's the number one thing. If you don't show effort throughout the course of a game, throughout the course of a season, you ain't going nowhere. The Bears had plenty of talent in 2019, 2020. What did they lack for the most part in those years? Effort, man. That is what they lacked throughout the course of 4 quarters. Jaquan Brisker is going to bring the effort. We got one more clip here.
I just wanted to show it one more time. This is the last clip I think I got. But if Jaquan Brisker isn't really coming hard off this edge too, and gets the eyes of this tackle right away, he could be delayed. That's all on coaching. But if he doesn't really fire off and get the attention of Stuber, Michigan still has a way to gain a gap and get back inside. Because if Stuber now, if he sidewalks number 13 and 68 Alley's number 12, now and Jaquan Brisker isn't firing hard, and I'm assuming that that's because that 71 doesn't get those eyes right away. The reason why 71 Stuber is seeing Brisker right away and knows that he has to clear him is because of how hard he's coming off the nickel, right? Now, he, like I said, 71 could work his way up to here, and now 7, I think this is Quorum. I don't remember which one of the Michigan running backs it was, but now he's got the inside track to really get there, because now you're imagining that Brisker's out of the play. We're here on the linebacker. Now the gap is right up in there. Now you have to make one guy miss, and if you do, it's a touchdown. That's just a really good job of playing effort and understanding the situation. Not saying that he knew pin and pull was coming. Not saying that he knew that there was going to be a player trying to clear him from the sidewalk. But that's just a good job of understanding that, okay, here's a guy coming. I see 2 pullers, right?
Right.
I see one puller. I see another one behind him. That means that they're probably going to try and get inside the first puller who's coming to me. So let me keep my outside edge and let me turn it away into my 2 linebackers inside. I think that's a really good job of being aware and understanding the situation.
Man, what you're explaining, that's next level IQ, man. I mean, that is stuff that, again, you just dedication to understanding what's going on. You're doing your homework, before the game, the week before the game, understanding what Michigan might do here, and then in game understanding what's going on. That's next level IQ. I mean, you want to build a team of smart players, man. And I think they're doing that with a lot of guys who are willing to do the homework, willing to understand what's going on, and just who just understand. I mean, this is a guy too, he's 23 years old, I believe. He's got a lot of experience playing the game. I think he played 2 years JUCO and then 3 years at Penn State. So this is a guy who's been around it for a long time. And you can say what you want about him being, a year older than, or 2 years older than what you would like. But I mean, with age comes experience. And that's why, when we did our Velus Jones breakdown, that was one of the things we talked about too, is Velus Jones, going to be 25 years old. Yeah. Does he have more experience to him? Yes. Like those things are true. So do you have any more, Claire? Is that the last one?
That's the last one, man. The last thing I'll say is I once again appreciate the toughness here, because he could get in the wash. He could kind of, sidestep here, but that would allow Stuber to kind of put his right shoulder in the Brisker and then work his way up to the linebacker. And I'm getting into a lot of hypotheticals here just because I'm thinking, I'm kind of getting excited about seeing what this guy can do for the Bears. Or he could come straight into the backfield. He could be 2-3 yards deep, and Stuber will just pass him off and go to the line. He'll go straight up. So the only play that he's making in order for Michigan to mess this play up, to mess this idea of pin and pull, this theory up, is to do exactly what he does: take the offensive lineman on, stack him up. And he doesn't win. He doesn't win the rep, but he does enough. His team wins. That's what matters. It's an 11. I guess that 11 on defense.
Yeah.
And each 11 have their own job to do, and that's what he does here. That's all.
Do your job, man. That's what you got to do. I mean, like you mentioned, not every play is going to be an interception. Not every play is going to be a fumble recovery. You do your job, though, and it's the things that people don't see, things that only people like you will understand when you watch these clips. But it goes a long way, man. I mean, when you have all 11 guys doing their job, good things come from that. And, don't play hero ball. Don't try to do it all. Just, do your job the best of your ability, and you're going to be a good defense. So, man, Jaquan Brisker, man, we got a guy with we didn't mention his RAS score. We have it right down here, though. We've got it's a 9.11 RAS score, 91st percentile of athleticism. So again, we talk about those themes, and we already did Kyler Gordon, Velus Jones Jr. If you guys want to check those out on the channel, those are getting a bunch of views right now. People are liking that because, they see the athleticism that those guys have, and, you get another athletic guy in Jaquan Brisker. So, maybe not the favorite pick for everyone in the second round, but hopefully after this video, we showed you guys how he can be an asset to the defense. And, he's not going to be at the peak of his career after year one, but he's going to have an important role. This is a guy who's going to come in and be the starting strong safety for the Chicago Bears. And if you want the Bears to be, a 9-win team, which many people think is possible given their schedule, well, Jaquan Brisker is going to be a major role in that, preventing those big plays that we saw a lot last year. And hopefully him and Eddie Jackson next to each other, he can, I think Eberflus is going to play a big part in Eddie Jackson returning to 2018 form, but so is having that guy next to him who can do it all and kind of allow Eddie Jackson to sit back and do what he does best. Let him play back. Let him be the center fielder that he is. Jaquan Brisker is going to allow him to do that. So, all right, man, I'm feeling good about Jaquan Brisker. Good breakdown, my man. So we got Dominique Robinson up next. Be sure to look out for that. And if you haven't watched our Kyler Gordon and Velus Jones Jr. breakdown. Those are on our channel as well. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on so you can see every breakdown we're doing. We're going to try to do the whole class. I know we're a little bit delayed. It's late, maybe, but we're going to get to it. Don't worry about it. We're going to get to it. So hope you guys appreciate the video. Make sure to comment and let us know what you think about Jaquan Brisker. And we'll try to reply to those comments and address those in future videos. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Kellyn, my man, we'll see you next time for Dominique Robinson. Take care.